8 hours of railway travel induces sleep in some and sleeplessness in others. Personally, after any journey, I am unable to sleep the whole night through. Around 5 o'clock in the evening I arrived at my friends, the Mur d'Archuises, to spend 3 weeks at their estate, Abel. It is a handsome house, built at the end of the last century by one of their ancestors, and has remained in the possession of this family ever since. Consequently, it retains that comfortable, lived-in look characteristic of dwellings where the same people reside continuously, maintaining the furnishings and order within, and animating them with their presence. Nothing changes here, and the soul of the house has not fled these rooms, which never feel empty, where carpets are never taken down from the walls but grow threadbare, fade, and lose their color, hanging in the very same spots. Old furniture is not removed but is merely shifted from time to time to make room for some new piece, which appears here like a newborn among its siblings. The house stands on a hill in the middle of a park that slopes gently down to a river. A humpbacked stone bridge spans the water. Beyond the river stretch meadows where fat cows roam slowly, nibbling the damp grass. Their eyes seem moist with dew, mist, and the freshness of the pasture. I love this house as one loves something one dreams of passionately. I come here every year in autumn with infinite joy and leave with regret. After dining with this friendly, tranquil family, who receive me as one of their own, I asked Paul Muir, my comrade, "What room have you assigned me this year?" "Aunt Rose's room." An hour later, Madame Mur d'Archuis, accompanied by her 3 children, 2 teenage girls and a lively boy, showed me to Aunt Rose's room, where I had never spent the night before. Once alone, I examined the walls, the furniture, and the entire room to familiarize myself with it. I knew the room slightly, having entered several times before and cast an indifferent glance at the pastel portrait of Aunt Rose, for whom the room was named. It told me nothing, this old Aunt Rose in her papillotes, grown dim behind the glass. She had the air of a respectable woman of bygone times, a woman of principles and rules, as firm in her copybook morals as in her kitchen recipes. She was one of those old aunts who dampen merriment and act as the sullen, wrinkled guardian angel of provincial families. Besides, I had heard nothing about her. I knew neither of her life nor her death. Did she live in this century or the last? Did she leave this world after a dull or a troubled life? Did she surrender to the heavens the pure soul of an old maid, the calm soul of a spouse, the tender soul of a mother, or a soul stirred by love? What did it matter to me? The very name Aunt Rose seemed to me ridiculous, commonplace, and unappealing. I took the candle to look at the stern face in the portrait, hung high on the wall in an old gilded frame. The face struck me as insignificant, disagreeable, even unsympathetic, and I began to examine the room's furnishings. It was entirely from the late period of Louis XVI, the Revolution, and the Directory. Not a single chair, not a curtain had been brought into this room since then. It had preserved the scent of memories, a subtle fragrance, the aroma of the wood, fabrics, armchairs, and wallpapers of those dwellings where people have lived, loved, and suffered. Soon I went to bed, but I could not sleep. After tossing and turning for an hour or 2, I decided to get up and occupy myself with letter writing. I opened a small mahogany writing desk with bronze fittings, standing between the 2 windows, hoping to find ink and paper there. But I found nothing except a very old quill pen with a slightly chewed tip. I was about to close the lid when suddenly my eye was caught by a glinting point, something like the head of a yellow pin, protruding slightly and forming a tiny bump in the recess of a small wooden panel. Touching it with my finger, I felt it was loose. I grasped it with 2 fingernails and pulled. It yielded easily. It was a long gold pin, inserted and hidden in a crevice in the wood. What could it be for? I immediately thought it must be used to press a spring concealing a secret lock and began searching. This took a long time. After at least 2 hours of effort, I discovered another hole almost opposite the first one, at the back of a groove. I inserted my pin there. A small panel sprang open right into my face, and I saw 2 bundles of letters, yellowed and tied with a blue ribbon. I read them and will transcribe 2 of them here. You ask me to return your letters, my dearest. Here they are, but this causes me great sorrow. What do you fear? That I might lose them? But they are locked away. That they might be stolen from me? But I guard them carefully, for they are my most priceless treasure. Yes, you have caused me boundless sorrow. I asked myself whether, in the depths of your heart, you might regret it. Not that you loved me, I know you love me, but perhaps that you expressed this ardent love on paper, in hours when your heart confided not in me, but in the pen in your hand. When we love, we feel a need for confession, a tender need to speak or to write, and we speak, we write. Words fly away, tender words woven of music, air, and love, ardent, light, vanishing as soon as they are uttered, lingering only in memory, but we cannot see them, nor touch them, nor kiss them, unlike words written by one's own hand. Your letters. Very well, I return them. But what sorrow it is for me. You must have felt shame for these confessions fixed upon paper. With your timid and modest soul, painfully sensitive to the subtlest nuances, you regretted having written to your beloved. You recalled the phrases that embarrassed you and said to yourself, I shall turn these words to ashes. Be content, be at ease. Here are your letters. I love you.